Adventist History CarTalks number 12 with Pastor Kevin Morgan.
Well, here's a little report in this card talk about the library at Aurora University in Aurora, Illinois. The folks there have been very, very accommodating, helpful to me, and the resources in the Jenks Library have been very valuable to me as I have been doing research on early Adventist history, and they have lots of interesting things there that I have not found online. So there are a number of things, and I understand they're going to be moving the library and this special collection to another place, and so hopefully they'll have it organized and accessible for other researchers like myself. Many thanks to Sarah, who arranged everything for me, not only to access the room, but had somebody to sit in with me so that I could take my time with the materials. And there's a lot for me to process, to go through, to look through. So, very successful visit, and thanks to them. So folks, I'm here in the library. I called it the wrong name. It's the Phillips Library, but it has a special collection here, and that was what I was referring to. And here's one of the great things I found. Okay, let me show you this. This is a letter from Joseph Turner to William Miller, and he refers to the concept of the bridegroom and his new understanding, and there's his signature, Joseph Turner. And the date on this, something that I was wanting to find, because he uses a terminology, Portland, Great Sabbath, 4th month, 20th day, instead of calling it a certain day. And if they've got it right, it says this is from January of 45, January 20 of 45. Still at the library, the Phillips Library, and I was going through some boxes on a shelf that had some pictures. Let me switch to that one. And these were here, and I started looking through them, and looking through this book, I came across this photo that was recognizable. That's Sojourner Truth. We found her online, recognizable. Here's that same photo right there. I also found another interesting photo. It was this one, and it looked quite familiar to me. And on the back, it read, "Please X, Moses Hall." So apparently they intended to discard that picture. Moses Hall. This is a box of papers from Miles Grant, who became an adversary to Ellen White. And this is a notebook that he kept with different topics. And here's one on the Sabbath. What he did was to paste in A.N. Seymour's material. There's one page. And then this page. And that page. And that's the extent of what he has on the Sabbath. Well, at the last minute, I was showing off some little pictures that I found in a box, and I found these quite interesting. Okay, there you go. And that is, it says on the back that that's Edwin Burnham. So I don't know which one of the brothers here, or which one is him, but that's kind of interesting. And this is H.L. Hastings. And at one time he did have hair. So let's see if we can get that without... Yeah. It has H.L. Hastings on the back. You might wonder who H.L. Hastings is. Well, he was an Adventist who was friends with Ellen White and James White. He did a lot of publishing, and there are a number of stories of interaction between them. He actually saw Ellen White in vision, was very impressed, and went and presented a message on spiritual gifts. So he always stayed in good favor with the Adventists and appreciated them. When he came out with his book in January of 1858 by the title of The Great Controversy Between God and Man, it was in that same year that Ellen White produced her book, The Great Controversy Between Christ and Satan. And there was a big difference in the topic that was covered. Both are dealing with the evil in the world. And Hastings was talking about the rebellion of man and how that, surprise, in the end, man loses and God wins. But in Ellen White's depiction, she talks about the war that took place in heaven and how that it was transferred to this earth. And she focuses on Jesus. And the stories are different. But he wrote his, and probably the part of his title stuck in her mind, Great Controversy. So she played off of that title. And the only other similarity that I could really find between the two books that were published in 58 is that both of them end with the controversy ending. And as I said, man loses in Hastings, and in Ellen White's, Christ wins over Satan. And those who are on Christ's side, of course, win as well. A little bit of a different focus. Other things that we know about Hastings. Well, he wrote a very beloved piece of prose, but it was poetic in some nature, that was entitled The Great Want of This Age. Now, Ellen White liked it, apparently didn't know who it came from, as did anybody else, because it was published over and over again with little variations from one person to another. It was attributed to different people, but I kept tracing it back, trying to find the closest that I could, the earliest I could find it, and I found it in 1866 in one paper, and it had a title to it, and the title was Sold Cheap. And there was something about it that triggered me to think, I wonder if this is Hastings, because I found an advertisement for a pamphlet of his that was being distributed, and I think it may have even been in the Review and Herald, and it was called Sold Cheap. And so I contacted the librarian at this very library, the Aurora University Library, and Susan Palmer, who was then the curator of the Jenks collection, sent me photocopies of the paper. And sure enough, it was right there. So the author of this beloved piece, The Great Want of This Age, is H.L. Hastings. And Ellen White adapted it, and her piece is much shorter and much more memorable. Let's take a look. We'll start with Ellen White's adaptation, and you'll see that I've colorized it so that you can see what words are the same with Hastings.
The greatest one of the world is the one of men, men who will not be bought or sold, men who in their inmost souls are true and honest, men who do not fear to call sin by its right name, men whose conscience is as true to duty as the needle to the pole, men who will stand for the right though the heavens fall.
The great want of this age is men who are not for sale, men who are honest to the bottom, sound from center to circumference, true to the heart's core. Men that fear the Lord and hate covetousness. Men who will condemn wrong in friend or foe, in themselves as well as in others. Men whose consciences are steady as the needle to the pole. Men who will stand for the right if the heavens totter and the earth reels. Men who can tell the truth and look the world and the devil right in the eye. Men that neither swagger nor flinch. Men who can have courage without whistling for it, and joy without shouting to bring it. Men in whom the current of everlasting life runs still and deep and strong. Men careful of God's honor and careless of men's applause. Men too large for sectarian limits, and too strong for sectarian bonds.
We could go on, but I think you get the point. Hastings' treatment is a lot longer. It sounds like it might be good for a speech in an old fashion, but Ellen White's is more to the point and more memorable. And now we know who wrote it, H.L. Hastings. you can see my interest in finding a couple more pictures of him. Here's one more that I found.